Since this is a technique video, I'm gonna want to address one of the comments that comes up all the time, which is, yeah, technique, but that only works if you're super strong. Or you have all these people who are strong and they're just kind of masking that by saying it's a technique thing. Yeah, fair. But at the same time, no matter how strong you are, there's always more you can get out of it with technique. It may seem at first like you're not getting the traction that you want and you just need to be stronger, but I can't emphasize enough the merit of assuming that you're strong enough to do these moves, and with that in mind, kind of think to yourself like, if I'm strong enough to do this, what am I missing? That opens up so many doors and allows much faster learning than you would get really any other way. So anyways, I see the argument, but I invite you to try, and I think that you'll see a lot of benefit with it. We had the opportunity this time to actually go out to Waco Tanks ourselves, and US Olympian Jesse Grouper and I climbed the boulders that were submitted to us. By walking through this checklist of cues, it will hopefully give you a really clear real-world opportunity to see how you can use these methods to improve your own climbing, but also the things that you can look for to get the most out of any footage that you might take and change a library of falls into valuable learning opportunities. Our first climb today is from Nick, and he's doing a super fun board-style climb called Shamu. It tracks up and left here, just to kind of squeeze in between the classic Free Willy and an old school V2 that cuts out left. So really nice tensiony climbing on, I think, fairly comfortable rounded crimps that culminates in a crux dyno at the end of the climb, which is what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to try to work through 4 specific points that I think almost always give good guidance and at least get you looking in the right direction. The first one is to watch what happens with the foot and knee position, seeing how they're loaded, where the feet and knees track, which point pops first, and if there's any rotation in the knee or hips that seems to affect the climb. At first, you're just looking for anything that looks a little bit odd and catches your eye. Second, I like to look at where the counter motion is. Do they bounce? If they do, in what direction? And where does their kind of dyno initiate? So in this case, it's a fairly straight bounce down, hips thrust in, and jump. After that, I try to see where the dead point begins. This is going to be where the movement is quietest. So when your body stops moving up, you have sort of a vertical dead point. So you see how it goes from essentially this straight line initially, and then kind of right here, his hips transition over and start dropping out more or less like this. The final thing is I like to look at the shoulder orientation as well as kind of the scapular set to see if you're in a position that lets you control the bottom hand, the control hand, as much as possible, and that your shoulders are oriented to point towards the target hand. Given that those are sort of our 4 questions, we can kind of go through this video and see what key takeaways there might be and what an analysis of this video might look like.